Alright folks, today I'm going to teach you how to make a professional Counter-Strike 2 movie making config. First thing you're going to do, open up a notepad file, alright? I have Notepad++, you might have just a generic text editor. Whatever it is, open up that text editor and let's put in the first command. Alright, what I like to do is I like to put all my commands into sections, and you can label those sections pretty easily. Now in programming, all you do is you put a / and then some text. And what will happen is the software, in our case Counter-Strike 2, won't read this line, okay? First thing we want to do is we want to activate svcheats1, okay? A lot of these commands won't work unless we have that, all right? So let's put that in as the first thing. Second command, merv_cvar_unhide_all. Super important. A lot of the commands in CS2 are hidden. It's really weird, right? Well, the developer at Half-Life Advanced Effects, super smart guy, he's found a way to unhide them so we have access to them. And it goes without saying, you will be using Half-Life Advanced Effects to make movies, okay? It's a very powerful tool. It's pretty much the only tool out there right now to make CS2 movies with. So you definitely want to be using Half-Life Advanced Effects, and you definitely want to be using this command. Now I want you to type //crosshair, because this is going to be the crosshair section. First crosshair command, CL_crosshair style. I like 4, it's the static one. Doesn't move, doesn't change when you're firing. You try it out, try 1, 2, and 3. They're all different. I like 4. All right, next command, CL crosshair, draw outline 0, okay? I don't like an outline on my crosshair. That being said, you might like the look of it. You might want a black outline around your crosshair. So you'd want to put that as 1, but I have it as 0. You could do whatever you want. I don't care, it's your movie, okay? Do what makes you feel good. Next command, CL_crosshair dot. I don't like the dot in the middle of the crosshair. I think it looks silly. You decide if you want the dot in the middle of the crosshair or not. Next command, CL_crosshair size, okay? I have it at 4.5. For me, that looks great. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's Goldilocks. CL crosshair gap. I have it at -1. I don't like a very large gap. It looks silly to me, but you may like a large gap in between all the little hash marks in your crosshair. Go ahead and play around with that one, but also an important command to have in your config for your crosshair. CL_crosshair thickness, okay? You may want chunky boys, all right? I don't like a chunky crosshair. I try to find a happy medium, and 1 feels good to me. These next 4 commands, CL_crosshair color, CL_crosshair color _R, and then G, and then B, okay? I have it set to 5, 50, 250, 50, and it gives me a nice vibrant green. I'm gonna let you decide. That's your prerogative. You do what feels good and what looks good. All right, CL crosshair use alpha. Okay, this basically tells CS, do you want a little transparent, the crosshair, or do you want it solid? You don't want transparency in the crosshair. I have it at 1, okay? Play around with it. You tell me what looks good for you. The companion command for crosshair use alpha is CL crosshair alpha. I can't remember what the highest value is for crosshair alpha, but 200 is pretty close to fully opaque, meaning it's not transparent. You can't see through it, okay? I like a very solid crosshair. I don't like transparency because I just don't think it looks good. I want it to be solid. That works better with encoding, YouTube's algorithm. You do whatever you like, okay? Try 100. That's going to be about 50% opacity, I believe, okay? And the last crosshair setting, CL_crosshair_sniper_width 1. Next one, / in-game clutter. This is going to basically clean up your screen a bit. All right, first command in the in-game clutter, SV_no MVP1. This is in the console once you unhide it. I don't know if they still use MVP. Don't play a lot of Counter-Strike these days, but it is in the console, and I don't want MVPs to show. All right, next one, SV_no nemesis. Again, don't know if they still do this in Counter-Strike 2, but it is in the console, and we want to turn that off, okay? We don't want nemesis to pop up in the middle of your demo. Next one, SV_show impact 0. We want that off. Those little square boxes that show up. That may accidentally get turned on for reasons I have no idea, but we want to make sure that those are turned off. We want to clean it up. Another one that's in the console, MP_display_kill_assist. Have that at 0. I personally don't like to see if my teammates flashed me in and I got a kill. I have that turned off. I want the kill feed to be as clean as possible. Next one, spec_show_x-ray 0. Don't want x-ray. Don't want to see it in observer mode. I want it off. I want it clean. All right, the last one in the in-game clutter section, SV_holiday_mode 0. Have yet to see the chickens wearing party hats, or have yet to see any other holiday treats that Valve has thrown into the game, but when and if they do, I have this command ready, willing, and able. And yes, it is in the console, so we want to make sure that's on just in case. Next important thing you guys probably care about, let's type in / weapon model. This is the weapon model section. All right, as you guys are well aware of, CL_prefer left-handed has been added to the console. Basically, when you spawn in, do you spawn in as a left-hander or do you spawn in as a right-hander? All right. I don't know if this is going to affect demos in the future. Right now, they're a little broken. Hopefully in the future, hello future viewers, hopefully you guys have a fix where Valve has allowed you to choose between left-hand and right-hand demos, but as of right now, you can't. In the future, if that's the case, I have it set to false. I like all of my players to be playing as right-handers. Put whatever you want though. The next 4 commands, viewModel_FOV, viewModel_offset X, viewModel_offset Y, and viewModel_offset Z. These are all your prerogative. These are your choice. I'm not going to tell you what to put here. But what I will tell you is, in all of the style productions, frag movies, these are basically the view models that we used. FOV 64, X at 2.5, Y at 0, and Z at -2. You put whatever you want for these values. Get a look that you like and then put it in your config. Next one, / HUD. That's right, we're gonna start putting in some HUD commands. First one, HUD_scaling. Okay, I have it at 0.75. I actually believe it's between 0.9 and 1.1. I believe that's the new range, but I have the HUD scaling to as small as possible. And this actually just affects mostly the kill feed. You'll see the kill feed mostly just showing up in our movies because we turn off radar, we turn off what gun you're using, how much health and ammo, just to clean up the view a little bit for the people watching the frag movies. We'll just put it to 0.9. I believe it's 0.9 to 1.1. I think those are the ranges now. All right, next 2 commands, safe zone X and safe zone Y. Okay, this is basically how far away from the edge of the screen, the edge of your monitor, the HUD kind of encroaches, okay? You can get some really crazy looks if you play around with these numbers, okay? You can actually get the HUD to be right in the middle of the screen if you want. It's pretty wild. Looks like shit, wouldn't recommend it, but yeah, you could do that if you want. So I have it at 0.98 and 0.98, just, you know, gives a little cushion away from this edge of the screen. Looks good to me, and I like it. But you do whatever you want. All right, HUD show target ID 0. So I believe this will pop up the name of the player that you're staring at, okay? We don't want that. We want that off. Put it at 0. All right, here's a fun one, netgraph. I actually don't think that command is available right now. I put it in there as sort of like a, if it ever gets thrown into the console, it's there. That's like a staple in every CS. Netgraph is always there in every CS version. So I have it there just in case, but it may not exist yet. Okay, here's 2 commands that go hand in hand, CL_show FPS and CL_show position, both at 0. You know, these sometimes get turned on, oddly enough. Don't know how or why, but I have them at the 0. All right, and last one, hide radar 1, okay? We want the radar turned off. All right, the good parts here, MERV settings, the thing everyone's been waiting for, okay? I'm gonna give you all the juicy stuff now, all right? We're done with all the housekeeping stuff. Let's get to the juicy stuff. First things first, MERV_cam path, draw, key index 15. What is that? Well, it's actually the size of the numbers that show up next to the anchor points when you're making cam paths. I like mine at 15. Play around with what you like. Put in a bunch of different numbers, see what looks good to you. MERV_streams, record start movie wave 1. Basically records the audio. When you record a clip, it records the audio with it. Next thing, MERV streams record name and then a file path. This basically tells Half-Life Advanced Effects, where do I record the clips to? Where do they go? I have them in my C drive in a folder called MERV, but you can put anything you want here. If you got a D drive, you can call it video files, or Anthony helped me. I don't know, do whatever you want, all right? Right now I have them in my MERV. The next one here, MERV_stream settings add FFmpeg. All right, so this command line basically adds an FFmpeg profile to Half-Life Advanced Effects. And what it does is you can dictate what codec that you want to record with, okay? Right now, I created a profile called EO2K19. This is the profile we use for Echoes of 2019. After you name the profile, EO2K19, you put in quotations -V codec, and I'm using the HUF codec, okay? You can use UT video if you want. You can use whatever you want, but again, I'm using the HUF codec space -A codec. I don't want to compress the audio. I want it to be uncompressed. And then what you do is you do squiggly brackets, quote, squiggly brackets, and then another squiggly brackets, AFX underscore stream underscore path squiggly brackets slash video. This is basically where you put your name of the video. You can put in recording.avi. You can put in Anthony is cool. I don't know. Just don't put that. That's lame. I just have it as video. Okay. Dot. And then this is the container that I want to record to, an AVI, and then squiggly brackets, quote, squiggly brackets, and then close it off with a quotation. Okay, cool. That's our FFmpeg profile that we created. Now, you're probably asking, what do you do with that? Well, you want to type in merv underscore streams, record screen settings, and then you type in that profile that you want to use. Whatever you named it here. So say you named it FFmpeg profile. Well, you want to type in FFmpeg profile, okay? So make sure whatever you named the profile there, you match there, okay? Now that we have that, the last thing we want to do is we want to actually enable recording, right? You can't record unless you enable it. And that command is merv underscore streams record screen enabled 1. Let's talk about aliases. Okay, now you're probably wondering, what's an alias? All right, well, it's basically a way to give a representative name to a console command, or like give it a nickname. Okay, so instead of typing the console command fully out, you can just type this nickname out and that'll execute the command. So let me show you. So type in alias, and then let's just say Anthony. Now, what's the alias Anthony going to do when I type it in console? Well, it's going to, let's just say it's going to print out my merv cam path. It's going to show me all the anchor points that I have. Now, I can just type in Anthony, and Anthony will print out my cam paths, all right? It's kind of cool, right? So you could do that with anything, all right? I'm not going to go through all of the different things that you can do with aliases. I'm just going to show you what you can do, and then the rest is up to you to decide, okay? I highly recommend using aliases. It saves you a lot of typing, and I even highly recommend using binds, which is our next thing, all right? Let's get the binds. Okay, this is gonna be the last section, all right? We're almost done here, guys. All right, key bindings, all right? / key bindings. First thing that saves me so much trouble, okay? Don't deal with the demo UI, even though it's beautiful in CS2. Make yourself a demo toggle pause bind, okay? So bind, and then the key, I have mine bound to F9, and then the command demo toggle pause, and that pauses and resumes the demo playback. These next 3 commands, super useful too. I have bindings to I, O, and P on my keyboard. And I sets the host timescale to 10. So 10's basically 10 times speed. O, I have it bound to 1. 1 is normal speed, plays back at normal speed. P is bound to 0.1 timescale, and that's 10th speed, okay? Slow-mo, all right? These are super useful commands. It helps you fast forward, slow down, and play at normal speed with the touch of a button. Next super useful command, I have a bind toggle. Okay, that's a new bind command, right? Bind toggle. I have it set to the key N, and I have that set to CL underscore draw underscore only underscore death notices. And that basically turns off all of the HUD except for the kill feed. Obviously, you wouldn't have this command if you like to see armor and weapons, but for me, I just want the kill feed, so I have that toggled on. And why do I have it toggled on? Well, sometimes I want to see what the round timer is, and that helps me decide, you know, when to start recording before a cam path gets triggered, all right? Let's get to some recording commands, okay? So bind F3. All right, first command, when we hit F3, what happens? Well, it sets merv underscore streams record FPS to a value. Right now I have 1800. You can have 600. You can have 60 if you don't want to record that high. You can have 3000 if you want to record super slow-mo with a lot of motion blur. I don't know. I have it set to 1800. Let's just, for your sake, set it to 600. Cool. Next thing that happens, merv underscore streams record start. It starts the recording. We set the FPS. Now we want to start the recording. And then the third thing that I like to put in is demo underscore resume. So what that does is it plays the demo. If the demo is already playing when you hit this button, nothing happens. It just keeps playing. But say you have it paused. When you hit F3, it automatically unpauses it, so you don't have to worry about hitting F9. And then you close that off with quotation marks. Awesome. So we have a start recording button. Let's have an end recording button, okay? Cool. So that's going to be bind F4. And again, you can bind this to whatever you want. I have it set to F3 and F4. You can have it set to Q and X. I don't care. You do whatever you want. First things first. merv_streams record end. We want to end the recording. Okay, cool. Semicolon. Make sure you're putting semicolons in between all these commands in the quotations, by the way. End movie. I have end movie in there just in case I'm only recording audio. And I will tell you how to record solely audio in the next line. Next command. I just have host frame rate set back to 0. It's an old CSGO command, and I think it still works in CS2. Basically what this says is, hey, just let the computer dictate what the FPS is going to be. It just lets CS2 run unencumbered, unhindered. I don't know if it's still a useful command in CS2 yet, but I have it in there just in case. And the last command, demo pause. When I'm done recording, I don't want the demo to run off and play it back into oblivion. You know, I want it to stop, all right, in case I need to do some tweaks or something didn't go right. Super quick command bound to F6 that I have is sometimes I just want to record audio, right? Sometimes you don't need to record the video. Sometimes you need to record like some, ambient noise, or you need to record, a spray down that maybe didn't sound right in your initial recording. So I have F6 bound to start movie, and then you put your name in here, and then you basically put your container in here, okay? So you can name this whatever you want. In-game sound, or sound effects, or Anthony. I don't know why I keep putting my name for these. Whatever you want. I have in-game sound as my name, and then again, wave is the container. Last but not least, bind F7 to demo UI. Sometimes you want to toggle the demo UI on and off. You want that to show up. You want to toggle around, skip ahead rounds, go back rounds. So binding that to a key is perfect. All right, and you know what? I feel like this will cause some logic issues if we keep the record FPS command inside the bind F3 line. So let's take that out and let's throw it right up here, right under the MERV settings. Okay, cool. That should be perfect now. All right, cool. Now that we put that last command in, let's go to save as, and let's type in a name for it. Let's call it movie making, and you're gonna make the file type a CFG. All right, and save. Now, you're probably wondering, where do I put this, okay? Well, you wanna navigate over to your Steam folder, okay? You go to Steam Apps, Common, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Game, CSGO, and go into CFG, okay? And then what you wanna do is, before we drop it in there, right-click, Properties, and click Read Only, okay? And this basically tells CS, don't overwrite anything in here, okay? And then basically, drop it in there. Okay, cool. All right, now you're probably wondering, how do you exec this? Well, when you're in game and you're in a demo, you type in exec and then the name of our config. Cool. And look, it exec. All right, there you go. Easy as that. All right, folks, that's it. That's all. This is the entire config that I've been using since CS2's official launch to make high-quality frag movies. And hey, maybe I missed a command. If I did, tell me in the comments below, and I'll add that to my own personal config. All right, folks, thank you so much for your time, and I hope this helps. Until next time.